I am God. I am 7. I drive the Merkaba. This video I will explain why I say I am 7. So 7 is a word and it's a number. It's both. Why is the number 7 significant? Why is it that, in the book of Revelation, the number 7 appears again and again and again and again, and it keeps appearing? And it seems like it's an important number. Okay, so there are 7 days in a week. The connection is, if you, at the beginning of the Old Testament, the book of Genesis, chapter 1, it gives the creation account. God created the world. Okay, the universe. The 7th day. Okay, I'll read from Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the 7th day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the 7th day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. So 7. How many days are there? 7. And what happens during the day? Well, you see sunlight. And Jesus was holy. I was Jesus. I'm holy. I'm God. Jesus said, when I am in the world, I am the light of the world. What is the light of the world? Well, you could say the sun in the sky. How did it become, how is it that it was called the sun? How did that happen? What English person decided, hey, you know what, we'll call that thing in the sky, we'll call that the sun? How did that happen? I wonder. Yeah. So this is the thing. This is magic. So, it's the 7th day that was, God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. But obviously, the account is, God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and then on the 7th day he rested. And obviously people might say, well, maybe those 6 days, they weren't actually literally 6 days, because very often in the Bible, a day can mean 1,000 years. An hour can mean a year. You know what I mean? That's how it works in the Bible. So, the fact that it was made in 6 days, it's written that way. It's symbolic. It was done in 6 stages, you could say, right? 6 periods of time. I mean, define what a day is. For a start, I mean, it says a day, but, what do you mean by day? What is a day? I mean, if you live on planet Earth, well, obviously there's a day, what you call the day and night cycle, right? When you don't see the sun in the sky, it's dark outside, you call that nighttime. When it's sunny outside, that's daytime. Or you might count from one date to the next date, so, if it's if it was the 8th yesterday, and then at midnight it became the 9th of December. So, it switched from one day to the next day, even though it's during the middle of the night. So how are you, whatever, right? Hopefully you get the point. So this is the thing. There's 7 days in total, okay? I guess you could argue all days are holy, because it's the 7th day that was made holy, and so because it was the 7th day, it was the 7th day that was made holy, that then makes all the other days holy as well. In a sense. But the idea was that the 7th day was meant for worship. In the 10 Commandments, there was the commandment, remember to keep the Sabbath day holy. So what does this all connect with? Well, there is something, in the book of Ezekiel, the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel, he talks about a vision of what is described as, the vision basically describes God's throne on a chariot, which is called Merkaba or Merkaba, and it's surrounded by 4 living creatures, and they all have 4 faces, and it describes various things about them. And so what's happened is that there are people who do all this magic. They, instead of having a relationship with God, what they want to do is they want to do Merkaba chariot magic. Someone thinks, hey, I don't need to have a relationship with God. What I need to do is I need to do witchcraft, Merkaba magic, and try to see if I can find my way into a higher realm by doing that, and then I can just walk straight into heaven and be like, hey, I'm here. That's basically what people want to do. They think they can just use magic, hop on God's chariot of fire, and make their way up to heaven and say, hey girl, I'm here, I arrived. And that's basically what people want to do. I mean, go search on YouTube, search on the internet, just search Merkaba, Merkaba. People are obsessed with Merkaba magic. It's so stupid. It's like, okay, why did Adam and Eve fall? Okay, why is it human beings live on this planet? Why do people think that it's a good idea to skip having a relationship with God and then think, oh, what's that magic? What's God's chariot all about? Oh, the Merkaba. Oh, shall we meditate on this? Shall we use Merkaba crystals and do meditation and do magic and see if we can get ourselves into a higher realm and blah blah blah. That's what people do. That's what people try to do, and people who do that are dead. I mean, they are people who think that they can sneak into heaven with magic are getting sent to hell. If someone tried to break into your house, what would you do? You'd call the police, and then the police would take them away and throw them in prison. Yeah? It's no different. So, and so this is the thing. The number 7. Yeah? What is so significant about the number 7? Well, let's have a look, shall we? At the magical tarot deck. In fact, I'll take that one, actually. Yeah, that one. Yeah, and that one. And yeah, maybe that one as well. Yeah. Not sure about that. Maybe. Yeah. Where is it? Here it is. So, yeah. Okay, so the Rider-Waite tarot deck the major arcana this is the 7th card. It's called the Chariot, and you see there's a guy standing there. This is associated with the zodiac sign Cancer. My ascending sign is Cancer. So, when you read in the Bible, about Elijah, he went up to heaven in a chariot of fire. Yeah. So, this is number 7. Now, what's interesting as well, because obviously the Fool card is number 0. So technically, if you're counting from number 0, you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And technically, this is the 8th card. And the 6th card, well, the card that came before it, which you could argue is number 7, is the Lover's card. It depicts Adam and Eve. There's a tree with a snake in it, or a serpent. And there's another tree behind Adam. So, stranger. So the Chariot card, these are sphinxes. You know where you find a sphincter, don't you? So an anus has a sphincter. Yeah. You might notice where he's standing. You notice how that the chariot that's behind, well, it almost looks like a bedposts. Yeah. See, it's to do with, how do people interpret this card? They interpret it as moving forward. Or, it's transport, it's a car, it's travel. But it's the ride. And so it's about sex. It's about people having sex. And it's about transport, moving forward, riding. Yeah, going for a ride. Hey, bitch, you want to go for a ride? You understand what I'm saying? So, 7. Now, in the book of Revelation, it talks about the 7 churches. There's the 7 stars. Now, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because, Jesus, he's described as having the 7 stars in his right hand. And so, that made, that, to me, that connects with the idea of there are 7 days in 1 week. Okay? The star, well, there are all kinds of stars in the sky. You'll see them during the day. Well, you see them at nighttime, but obviously the sun is what you see during the daytime. Yeah? But the 7 stars in the right hand, is symbolic of the 7 days. Okay? The 7 spirits of God. The 7 angels, the 7 seals. There's the scroll with the 7 seals. It's an interesting word, 7, isn't it? The word see and seen are in the word 7. Yeah, so seen is a past tense. Is it? Yeah. Well, saw. It's interesting. I'm actually wearing a saw t-shirt, actually. Anyways. Seen. So, if you have seen someone, right? Anyways, it's kind of like a past tense or something, isn't it? So, yeah. And so there's the 7 trumpets, the 7 bowls of wrath, and the 7 last plagues, the 7 lampstands, the 7 the Lamb that sits on the throne in Revelation chapter 5 is described as having 7 eyes and 7 horns. And there's also the dragon that has 7 heads and 10 horns. And the first beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. And then the second beast has 2 horns, like that of a ram. And obviously the lamb described in Revelation chapter 5 is described as having 7 eyes and 7 horns, like I said. So, yeah. So interestingly, there's people use I've done a bit of searching about Merkaba. So it basically comes from Jewish mysticism. So that's where that seems to be. Well, there are various cultures that have similar ideas about God's chariot, or there's so the Merkaba thing. I mean, there's Jewish mysticism. They have I'll tell you what, I'll do a search. I'll tell you what I find on Wikipedia. So, what does it say here? Merkaba, which means chariot. So it says Merkaba or Merkava mysticism is a school of early Jewish mysticism, 100 BCE to 1000 CE, centered on visions such as those found in Ezekiel 1 or in the Hekkalot literature, which is palaces literature. So that has to do with sort of palace, heavenly palace magic. It's basically saying, what does God's palace in heaven look like? How did we get there? Sort of thing. These people think they can just wander into heaven and be like, hey God, we're here. It's like, yeah, you weren't invited. What the fuck you know what I'm saying? I mean, let me show you something else, okay? So in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, here is the 7 of Cups. Now you notice that's in the sky, and there's all these cups, and you got like jewelry, and there's all kinds of stuff there, isn't there? That's supposed to show like some sort of ghost or holy ghost. It's supposed to represent the Holy Ghost. Some would say, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's someone with a cloth draped over them. There's a snake there, and there's like a blue dragon thing there or something, like a wreath and jewels, and there's like a blue mountain thing there or something. I don't know, like it looks like a castle or a palace on a hill. But anyway, you know what Jesus said about lay your treasures up in heaven. Where thieves cannot get to them. Yeah. Well, this is this is the type of magic. This is people, what they want to do is they want to use Merkaba magic. Magic of the number 7. It's all about trying to get up into heaven and saying, look at all this treasure we found up here. Ooh, let's have some of that. That's what it's about. I mean, here's another example. Here's the Wheel of Fortune card. You can see that disc in the middle. It says Torah in one direction, so it's got T-O-R-A, and obviously if you read it the other way, it's T-A-R-O and then T. So Tarot or Torah, and it's got the Tetragrammaton Yod-He Vav-He on there as well. It's got the 4 living creatures in the corners. Then there's a snake, and that's Anubis, and that's a Sphinx. And this is all in the sky. So you can count, there's like 3, so there's 3 of them, and then plus the other 4, that makes 7. And this is to do with destiny and fate. And obviously it's called the Wheel of Fortune. Well, I drive quite an expensive car. It's quite I mean, it's It's an expensive, people, what does it, someone might call their car their wheels. Oh, my wheels, that's my transport, that's my car. Or maybe it's, another type of vehicle, right? But anyway. Yeah, so the interesting thing about when I searched and I was looking at Merkaba. Ooh, actually no, wait, I was talking about this, wasn't I? Yeah. So it's there, centered on visions such as those found in Ezekiel 1 or in the Hekhalot literature, which is palaces literature, concerning stories of ascents to the heavenly palaces and the throne of God. So, it's very interesting. I've explained this before. The universe is connected to my ass. Okay? That's what it is. I mean, I can explain it. Again, this is something I haven't mentioned before, but... okay, this is the world card. Yeah? It's got the 4 living creatures, which are talked about in the in Revelation chapter 4, which talks about the throne of God in heaven. Okay? Obviously, it says the world, but this is in the sky. This is depicting something in the heavens. You see this ring here? This represents my butthole, and it's the woman that's in there. She is earth. She's soil. She's poo. That's what she is, right? So when it says the world, that's this is the woman who is connected. She lives in my butt. Basically, that's the idea of the card. Okay. For fuck's sake. What the fuck was I gonna say? Almost had it. Yeah. So it says here, concerning stories of ascents. Right? What does ascent mean? To ascend, to rise. Well, ascent is to go up. Right? So what is ascent? Well, my ass fucking smells. That's ascent, isn't it? You fucking idiots. So when I say my arsehole, yeah, that's right, because people want to ascend. They want the ascent to heaven. And where do they end up? Up my arse. Enjoy the smell. But that's how the magic works. I've explained it so many times, but people don't understand it. They're like, duh. It's like, well, duh, it's just you're fucking stupid. You couldn't figure out anything if you tried. Anyways, let me carry on with this Wikipedia article. The main corpus of the Merkaba literature was composed in the period 200 to 700 CE, Common Era. Yeah? Although later references to the chariot tradition can also be found in the literature of the Hasidim of Ashkenaz in the Middle Ages. A major text in this tradition is the Ma'aseh Merkaba, which means work of the chariot. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's called work of the chariot. Well, here's another 7 card. 7 of Pentacles. You see, he's a guy who's working. He's doing some sort of harvest. He's working in the fields, right? This is about work, and it's associated with the number 7, which is fascinating, isn't it? Because what does God do on the 7th day? He rests. That's right. That's what he does. He rests on the 7th day. And that's the thing, right? Because there's the vision of Ezekiel, and is the vision of God sitting on a throne on the chariot, the Merkaba, and obviously sitting on the throne. Well, you guess you call that rest, perhaps. So yeah, I mean, this is the interesting thing about the English language. What does it mean? What does arrest mean? What does arrest mean? Oh, you're going to bed, or someone slapping handcuffs on you and throwing you in jail, sending you to prison? Which one is it? Does anybody know? Could someone tell me? I'll tell you one thing. I've never been arrested by the police. Ever. And I don't intend to. But if they ever did, it would be the worst decision they ever make. Because I'm God. And they won't have much of a world left if they think they can keep me locked in a cell. And for what reason, I have no idea. So, well, I mean, I suppose they could say, "Oh, you claim to be God. We don't like that. We will refer you in a prison cell because you offended somebody." Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. You're gonna need it. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, excuse me 1 second. Just have to, oh. It was nothing. I don't think you heard it, so I won't mention it. It was a silent one. Yeah. Okay. So this is the other interesting thing. So I was going to mention about the Merkaba, and what people have these crystals, and they call them Merkaba crystals. And what they look like is kind of like the Star of David. It's sort of like there's an upwards pointing triangle and there's a downwards pointing triangle that are overlapping, and so it creates a 6-pointed star. And people call it the Star of David. Well, the Merkaba crystal, the Merkaba shape, is basically a 3-dimensional Star of David. So, what it is instead of being a triangle, it looks more like a a pyramid is actually 4-sided, but so it's like a 3-sided pyramid. So it's like it's a 3-dimensional triangle. Is that called a trapezoid? Trapezoid or something? I don't remember. I'm not sure. But anyway, just search it on the internet. Merkaba crystal. Merkaba. Merkaba crystal. Yeah, you'll find it. If you want to look for it. Mercedes. Yeah, that's an interesting brand of car, isn't it? Mercedes. Merkaba. Well, the name Merkaba. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Abba it means father, doesn't it? Jesus called the Father Abba, Father. And so, the chariot, the word that was used for chariot was Merkaba. And also they have what do the Muslims, they have that thing in Mecca, they call it the Kaaba, or Kaaba, the Kaaba. And obviously in Jewish mysticism they also have what they call the Kabbalah tree, and the Merkaba and the Kabbalah tree are connected. The ideas that they have about them in their Jewish mysticism, they have, it's magically, the ideas are magically connected. Because the way that in Jewish mysticism they basically think of, well, the chariot is how you move forward. It's how you progress spiritually by getting into doing all this magic. Saying, okay, so we're going to get in God's chariot and we're going to start, we're going to see where we can get to. Basically it's witchcraft. It's sorcery. What did God ever say to do that? Never. No. Why would I ask people to do that? What was the point of me dying on the cross so people can just do stupid magic to try to pretend they're me? I mean, fuck off. Hey, I'll tell you another thing. So you know that Enoch, he was the seventh from Adam. Right? He was the seventh descendant from Adam. I mean, obviously there was Enoch, who was the son of Cain. He was a different Enoch. But the line of Seth, the seventh from Adam, was called Enoch. And he walked faithfully with God, and then it said he was no more because God took him up. Right, God took him. So it says God took him. It depends on the translation, obviously. But basically, it's interesting though, isn't it? Because, the chariot of fire that Elijah went up to heaven in the chariot of fire, okay? And the chariot is the number 7, is the 7th card of the tarot. Enoch was 7th from Adam. See, the number is significant. There was 7 days in a week. Couldn't it have been a different number? Do you know what I'm saying? Could have been a different number. Did it have to be 7? Could it have been a different number? It's a good question, isn't it? Anyway, so what is the Merkaba? Well, it's my car. Or is it me? It's me? The Merkaba, the chariot is it's about transport. My spirit is in this body. If I want to transport myself, I can walk. When it talks in the book of Ezekiel about the it talks about the Merkaba, or the chariot. It talks about the wheels. It said the wheels within wheels, and that's the thing. Maybe I'll read from Ezekiel, so we know what we're talking about here. If I can find it. Oh, yeah, go back. It's the book before Daniel. Yep, there we go. Oh, too far. Almost there. So what does it say here? So in chapter 1, okay, so chapter 1, verse 4. I'll start here. So it says, Ezekiel said, I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet were like those of a calf, and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings, and the wings of one touched the wings of another. Each one went straight ahead. They did not turn as they moved. Their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side each had the face of a lion, and on the left the face of an ox. Each also had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. They each had 2 wings spreading out upwards, each wing touching that of the creature on either side, and each had 2 other wings covering its body. Each one went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they went. The appearance of the living creatures was like burning coals of fire, or like torches. Fire moved back and forth among the creatures. It was bright, and lightning flashed out of it. The creatures sped back and forth like flashes of lightning. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved, and when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still. And when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Well, this is the thing, right? I drive a car. Do I get out of the car and turn the wheels? No. When I'm in the car, I turn the steering wheel to turn where I want to go, right? Obviously, Ezekiel had a vision And yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to really try to understand what exactly he's trying to explain. But the way I look at it, you know, it's a magic story, okay? I think I've said enough, to be quite honest. You know, why should I have to explain myself to people who never understand anything anyway? I don't know. I mean, most people in this world couldn't tell God from, they couldn't tell the difference between God and a McDonald's cheeseburger. Seriously, they wouldn't know the fucking difference. They'd actually think McDonald's cheeseburger was good. That's how fucking dumb they are. Or a Big Mac. Or some soggy fries. Soggy French fries. I wonder why they make them soggy for. No. Yeah? You know what a French kiss is, yeah? They're soggy. Soggy French fries. Like some salt on that as well. Bit of beef. Bit of sauce. Bit of cheese. Bit of bun. Bit of lettuce. Bit of pickle. Bit of gherkin. Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, this is the thing, because, you know, it talks in the book of Revelation, there's the first beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns. And there is the whore of Babylon, and she rides the beast. Okay? It's the, you know, there's a card. Shit, hang on. There is a card. I will find it if I can get to it. Here we go. This is the Thoth Tarot deck. I will show you the Lust card. In fact, I'll show you. There's the princes. Okay, so the princes, you notice how he's on a chariot. All the princes drive chariot. There are 4 princes. So that's the Prince of Wands. So there's a Prince of Swords, a Prince of Cups, and a Prince of Coins. They all are depicted in chariots. Excuse me. So, where the fuck is the card? That's the Chariot card. And then where is the one I'm looking for? I'm looking for the Lust card, wherever the fuck. Here it is. Okay. This is the Lust card, okay? It depicts, you see there's like a lion that has 7 heads. Yeah, and there's that woman riding on the back of him, on the back of the beast. And it says Lust there at the bottom. Yeah, it's card number 11. It's associated, so in the Rider-Waite deck, there is the Strength card. It's a woman with a lion. It's number 8. And this is the one that corresponds to it. You might even be able to read, you notice underneath Lust, it says Trumps. See, in the Thoth deck, which is the one that was made, this is associated with Aleister Crowley. This deck, the Thoth deck. You know, it's called the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. The major arcana are actually, they're called trump cards, or trumps. So that piece of shit Donald Trump, he is a magician, a sorcerer. Okay, this is the Chariot card in the Thoth deck. You know, it's kind of similar. You know, it depicts a chariot, and there are these 4 creatures at the front. Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly what they are. Couldn't be bothered to even find out. I've had enough. This is bullshit. Thank you very much. Oh, and what's on the back? Oh, see this? On the back of the Thoth deck? Yeah, that's called the Rosicrucian Cross. So, you know, this is what the back of the cards look like. The Rosicrucian Cross. That is witchcraft. In fact, I've actually got one in silver. I haven't got it with all the colours on it, but I do have a silver one that I bought. I paid a lot. I paid about, I don't know, almost 200 quid for one. I bought that when I first started learning about magic. And I used to wear it a lot, but then I stopped wearing it because I don't wear any, you know, I haven't got any jewelry around my neck anymore. There used to be a time when I used to have like 6 different pendants and necklaces around my neck at the same time. I used to wear rings and bracelets. I burnt candles and incense and all sorts of stuff. Because I didn't know what I needed to do, so I was trying everything. I was trying anything I could think of. Basically. I didn't want to waste time. No. Anyway, what more can I say about this before I go? I'll tell you what. Let's go to chapter 7. So Ezekiel chapter 7. Yeah, the chapter is titled. This is an NIV Bible, and it is titled, "The End Has Come." I think I'm going to read this. Yeah. I mean, you know, because Revelation chapter 5, you know, there's the lamb sitting on a throne. You know, there's a lamb, you know, and he looks as if he has been slain. it's talking about me. There's the scroll with the 7 seals on it. Well, Ezekiel chapter 7. I think it's appropriate. Or do you think I should leave it? Okay. Whatever. Well, see, the thing about the world is that all these people who drive cars, they drive, the car is called the chariot, and it's associated with number 7. And so you got all these people driving around thinking they're good. And demons, they're like, oh, look at all these people driving their cars. They're all good now. Everyone's good now because everyone drives cars. God, all these gods driving their chariots, all their Merkabas and blah, blah, blah. Doing sex magic and all sorts of shit. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. So it's all about, driving a car. How are you going to get to heaven? Oh, we'll drive there. I mean, this is the other thing, I've mentioned about, if you don't believe me, well, I talk about, the chariot and the bed. Yeah, the bed, where people have, hey, you want to go for a ride in my bed? Yeah, the chariot? Let's go for a ride. Well, what's sex drive, then? What's sex drive? And what's sex trafficking? What do you... When you're in traffic, are you in your bed or are you in a car? I mean, some people have sex in cars, don't they? Yeah, they do. They sure do. Have I ever had sex in a car? Ooh. Don't think so. Depends what you... Well, I might have done something sexual in a car, but with someone else. I wouldn't say it was full-blown sex. Yeah, anyway. But some people do, some people do. Yeah. Yeah. So, what else can I say about this? And that's the thing about, the whore. The whore of Babylon. She's described as, there's 7 mountains that she sits on. I'm fairly certain. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, how do you spell God? Well, the very first letter is G. And this is it. My name is Grant. That's the name I was given at birth. Grant. Starts with the letter G. G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. In fact, if you look at Freemasonry, you'll notice that, when they have their symbols, they'll have something like, the compass and square, and they'll have the letter G in the middle. Why? Because G is the 7th letter. I suspect. Yeah. You know how they talk about the 7 wonders of the world. They'll say, the unexplained wonders of the world. Like people talk about the pyramids and, different cultures, like maybe like the Mayans or whatever it is, I don't know. But they talk about, the 7 wonders of the world. And quite often people will make videos, they'll make documentaries talking about the 8th wonder of the world. Well, I am the 8th wonder of the world. I'm God. It's because I eat food and people keep talking about me. And then when I say to them, why do you keep talking about me? They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who the fuck are you? Then they go back to talking about me. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing in Merkaba magic, what people call, New Age spiritualism. People talk about the Merkaba, and they combine it with the idea of the chakras. There are 7 people talk about 7 chakras. That comes from Eastern, like Buddhism or whatever bollocks that is. Hinduism, all that kind of shit, right? The 7 chakras. So what are the 7 chakras? They are spells. That's all they are. It's basically looking at a part of the body and doing a drawing and writing a spell and saying, okay, this is what we think. This is a spell that we've assigned to this particular part of the body. That's all it is. It's spell work. Magic. Using words and pictures. It's no different than someone looking at a planet and then saying, oh, we've invented some god and we're going to give that god the same name as that planet, and then we're going to make all kinds of other spell work on top of that, and try to give it this all kinds of different meanings, and that's what astrology is. You know what I mean? And obviously, well, yeah, Roman mythology, Greek mythology, all that shit. Nonsense. Yeah. So, the Merkaba, so some believe, the Merkaba is associated with the root chakra, which is basically, the root chakra is basically, it's where your shit is. It's where you're basically like saying, oh yeah, God's chariot is parked in your arse. And, what you need to do is you need to awaken your Merkaba thing and, try and drive that Merkaba thing from your arse up to your fucking brain. Kind of like, the Kundalini snake thing. People can't decide, oh, is it the Merkaba or is it a Kundalini snake thing? Or whatever, just, it's all about pushing the poo straight into your fucking brain. That's all, people are interested in doing. That's New Age spiritualism. It's all about thinking with poo. That's all it is. Because I'm God, I'm here, and I poo. Poo, the most magic word ever. Yeah, it probably is. Poo. Poo and shit is like, they're like the most magic words that exist. Well, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the entire world relies on the fact that I poo. And they have shit for brains. Seriously fucking dumb. And the other thing I should probably mention is, well, in the tarot deck, the Sun card is number 19. Which is, it's numbered number 19, which is XIX in Roman numerals. It's the 20th card if you include the Fool card as well, okay? If you include the Fool card, then, well, number 18 is really 19, and that's the Moon card, which is quite different from the Sun card. But the Sun, the idea of the number 19 is about on a clock, right? 7 p.m. at night time is the 19th hour of the day. So it's the idea of 7 with time, and timey, so that's bondage, right? It's about bondage. Is it any wonder why the world keeps trying to use binding magic to keep me stuck? Oh, what time is it? Is it 7 o'clock? Yeah. Do you car? Do you car? Care and car. Interesting words, aren't they? Car, care, carry, transport, transport. Yeah. Anyway. Sex drive. drinking and driving. Isn't that interesting how people say, oh, you can't drink and drive? It's like, well, what if I'm just drinking water? Can I drink water and drive? Is that okay? Is that illegal? You can't drink and drive. Well, technically you can drink and drive, but only if you have a little bit. So, as long as you're under the limit, that's how it's supposed to be. Oh, excuse me. Oh, bit gassy tonight. Yeah. I mean, this is the interesting thing, because in the Book of Revelation, it talks about the 7 churches. What's the first one? So it says the church of Ephesus. F. Well, what does F mean? F means fuck, doesn't it? So the church in Ephesus, which is interesting because I was in a play when I was younger, and it was called The Comedy of Errors. It was a Shakespeare play. Oh, excuse me. The Comedy of Errors. I played the Duke of Ephesus. It's the only major role I've ever had in a play. And that was when I was, 12, 13, something like that. Okay, so there's the church in Ephesus, and then there's the church in Smyrna, and then there's the church in Pergamum. It almost reads like Pergamum. Yeah. Thyatira. A woman, well, people have thighs. And usually people are looking, if people are having sex, they're doing bondage sex, right? Thigh, you get thigh, tyra. It sounds very sort of sex magic-y. That's what it sounds like. There's another one that says Sardis, the church in Sardis. Yeah, I don't know, Sardis. Well, apparently I was Tsar Nicholas II. That's who I used to be. I used to be Tsar Nicholas II. He was the last Tsar of Russia. Murdered by communists. With the family. Okay, and then there's so the church in Sardis, and then there's the church in Philadelphia, and the 7th church is the church in Laodicea, or Laodicea. Yeah, sounds very sort of sexy, doesn't it? Lay down, yeah, spread it, yeah, Dicea, yeah, Laodicea. I'm just explaining the magic so you understand it. I know it's dirty, but whatever. So yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about here, really. Ooh, hang on. Hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I don't think there's really anything else I wanted to talk about here. Um, I mean, the fact is, there's all these stories in the Book of Revelation, or whether it's, Ezekiel's vision or whatever it is. People who have visions and they write about it, and they got to write about, like in the Book of Daniel, you know, um, these different visions, and how does it get used by people? What do these people do with it? People are always trying to cheat their way into heaven using magic and sorcery. Then so many people, they don't want to have a relationship with me, God. They want to sneak their way into heaven instead. And I'm very mad about it. I'm very unhappy about it. Yeah. So I should be. Um, um, I mean, this is the thing, 7 days is called 1 week. Now, what did Jesus say about weakness? Jesus said, my strength is perfected in weakness. So what does weak, who's weak, what's weak talking about? Yeah, I think it's talking about me. Well, it's a magic spell, isn't it? 2 weeks is called fortnight. That's another magic spell, and the thing is, well, my butt is weak. I got a loose butt. Could do with some exercise. But that's the thing, it's called fortnight. Yeah, it's a magic spell. It's trying to put out my light. That's what it is. It's trying to put me in darkness. Yeah, it's all the world ever wants to do. The world wants to say, I'm the darkness, and the world wants to pretend that it's God and that it's the light and try and kill me. That's all the world ever wants to do. And they want to steal, kill, and destroy, and use sorcery, and break in where they, try to break into heaven where they don't belong. And then what's going to happen to them at the end of it? Well, they're all going to be tortured, or dead, or both. It's going to be, they will experience hell, the lake of fire. They were warned, but they didn't listen. They didn't care. Oh, they didn't care. They didn't care. Oh, so you drive around in your car and you're like, oh God, I car, God, look at me, I drive a car. Do I have good karma? Or is it bad karma? Fucking dickheads. Anyways, I think I've said enough for this video. Basically, I'm just rambling now, aren't I? Yeah. Like I said, the world, they can't seem to tell the difference between God and a cheeseburger. So, what I say, what, you gonna listen to it anyway? Probably not. What difference does it make in that sense? So, I'll leave it there.